There's a thing about being a Wayne that you're never short of a few freeloaders like yourselves to fill up your mansion with. So here's to you people. Thank you.
That's enough.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical, everybody. You know, it's Batman week. Batman 86 is coming out. The new writer, James Tynion, he's bringing Tony Daniel with him. And to celebrate it, I'm going to talk to my good friend Corbin about all the alternatives we have at Batman or at DC Comics or Batman readers right now. How you doing, Corbin?
I'm doing good, Wes. Excited to talk Batman. It's that my favorite time all the time.
You're definitely Thinking Critical's Batman aficionado, and I definitely love it when we can get you on here. We can talk about the Dark Knight, the Cape Crusader. You know, it's one of those things that is kind of weird. If you're a Superman fan, there's no escaping it. If you're a Superman fan at DC, you have to read Bendis. But if you're a Batman fan and you didn't like the Tom King run that just wrapped up, you have all the choices in the world, whether it be on DC Black Label. We just had Last Night on Earth finish. We had Batman Damned, and we got several Batman ongoing series. We always multiple miniseries going at one time. So we're just going to run down 6 of your alternatives for Batman readers. And what are your thoughts on where the series is and where they're going? You ready for this?
Yes, I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right. First would be the other flagship series for DC Comics, the other Batman series, Detective Comics. What do you think about Detective Comics right now?
Detective Comics has kind of been my go-to, especially with the fallout of the Tom King Batman run. I've loved what Peter Tomasi's done on the series. I appreciate the fact that he's grounded Bruce, made him more of a likable guy, and not that emotionally immature kind of brooding type that we've seen. And I think that's important because you feel more in these stories for him from a certain stance. Like that emotional connection of, okay, he's not just Batman, but he's literally a person trying to do the right thing. There was a recent storyline where it wasn't even a storyline. It was a one-shot issue. I think it was the latest one. I'm thinking, late November, December, where Batman, it's the winter. There's a runaway from Bruce Wayne's orphanage, or it was named in his mother, and he'd run off. And Batman was notified by Lucius Fox, hey, he had a runaway. And he's like, listen, can someone take care of that? I'm trying to keep Gotham safe. And then Lucius is like, well, maybe you can as Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne goes, does some investigation, brings in Damian, who's been gone for a while, as we all know. They have a connection, and they look for this kid. They find him. It goes another story, and it wraps up really nicely. But basically, you get the Batman that we all come to expect, but you also get more of that Bruce Wayne side, and understand that the heart of it, he's just a guy trying to do the right thing. And that, yes, maybe he's emotionally unavailable sometimes. And yes, he's a little brooding and dark, and there's elements of that exist. But also, at the end of the day, he's a guy who is inherently a good person and is looking for all of them. I think Detective Comics does a great job of not just the big villains and the sprawling storylines, but also the little guy and the little person and that street level Batman still looking out for them. And I've really enjoyed most of Detective Comics that I've read. Especially this past year, has been a great respite to the Tom King Batman.
Yeah, Peter Tomasi has definitely been killing on that, and I love a great one shot story for the right hero. And Batman is the right hero. He's the world's greatest detective. You don't always need to tell the investigation, the crime. You could do that in one shot, and he's been doing a really great job. But the thing that's really got me on Detective Comics right now is the art. Doug Mahnke and Brad Walker. Oh my goodness. Brad Walker is probably like the second best new artist that I discovered in 2019. The first thing I saw from him was the Arkham Knight storyline. Just beautiful. I love his take on Batman. The eyes, such a cool rendition of the character. I love it. And then of course I got to see him on Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Death of Superman, and I thought he killed it there too. So Brad Walker, bigger and better things in 2020, my friend.
It's good. It's very good. I'm looking forward to more of that art. That's a great point out.
All right. So the other Batman series that's been ongoing since Rebirth has a great writer on it, Batman Beyond.
Love Batman Beyond. That I was just talking about that this weekend. Dan Jurgens is on that. You have a great artist just in general who have been all over that as well. And Okay, so let me just try to get my thoughts on it. First of all, Dan Jurgens, historically good writer. I mean, we've seen the stuff he's done, a lot of stuff on Superman, a lot of stuff on Marvel and DC, both sides. But what I enjoy about Batman Beyond is that it's just really enjoyable stories that you can pick up and just take in. Right now is a mystery going on because there is a Batwoman Beyond who is solving, fighting crime, and nobody knows who it is. Bruce Wayne thinks that it could be Barbara Gordon. Terry McGinnis's brother Max thinks that it could be Melanie Walker. And what I like about that, just saying that alone, is that the callbacks to the animated series, which of course it should, is largely derived from that. But I think there's more of a focus now to bring in these characters from that universe, not expand so much to make so many new ones, but to take those same characters that we know and go into a different direction story-wise. You have the return of Terry McGinnis's original villain, arch nemesis Blight, from the animated series, who we all thought had died from the animated series. Again, call back to that, but he's back. And so there's a mystery going on with who is this person or this woman in Batman Beyond's costume, who's fighting crime, who knows exactly what she's doing. Who is she? Blight's return. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Terry McGinnis is missing. Where is Terry McGinnis? He's Batman Beyond. It turns out he had an amnesia accident. He's lost running around with a former associate, former girlfriend of Blight. And I just love the storylines and the threads. And right now, this past issue, without giving any spoilers, it's all starting to come together. It's all starting to tie in. The connection between Blight and that ex and Terry and Batman and all of that coming together. And we're going to get the identity of Batwoman very soon, which I'm definitely excited for because they've done just a great job of teasing that. And it doesn't feel like it's drawn out and like boring. Okay, get to it. Who is Batwoman? Like it's necessary. And I think that's important. That's cool. But yeah, I can't say enough of this book. It's done just a great job. Sean Chen has done an amazing job art-wise. Anaka Miranda just did the last one, and that was a solid job as well. It's a great book. It's probably my favorite Batman series right now.
Oh wow! So it's just a real testament of just what a terrible idea Rick Grayson was, because they finally gave it to Dan Jurgens, and he can't even make it work.
That's true. That was a horrible idea. You're right. You have to lead with Rick Grayson or just Grayson or no, just drop it. Just drop it, guys. Come on.
Let's get back to some better news. The third ongoing Batman, well, it's actually the fourth because there is a Batman, but the third other ongoing Batman series, Batman and the Outsiders, Brian Hill and Dexter Soy.
Yeah, that's been a solid series as well. I've just gotten back into that recently. It was a bunch of Batman titles, so I'm on that now. But for one, the artwork is great on that. Just really
Dexter Soy is like the most underrated, one of the most underrated. Everyone's the most underrated. He's definitely in the top 2 or 3 most underrated artists in all comics. He's awesome.
Yeah, and again, this highlights a common theme in most of this Batman titles we've been talking about. Even the ones, Batman, Tom King, that haven't been the best well-written, the artistry has been amazing. The renditions of Batman and these characters have been great. Now, Batman the Outsiders, I have to give a little touchdown. There's a reason I did kind of fall off of it. I felt that it's been kind of meh, a little inconsistent as far as writing is concerned, and I feel like some of the worst moments have come from some of the key characters, Black Lightning, Batman, Duke to a certain extent. It's just been a lot of melodrama, and I think that it hadn't been developed as well. But I'm also, being the Batman fan, new year, new me. I'm back on it. We're going to see if it's changed in the last couple of months. And I'm excited to kind of get back on that horse and read some of the back issues, because that was my line. I think for me was, you already had the signature title that was kind of lackluster, and we're reading it because we kind of have to. There's other options, but it's Batman. Batman the Outsiders, for the most part, it's been good. I'm just saying that it's been kind of inconsistent in terms of you have a lot of good issues and some that aren't as great. The variance has been there, but I still recommend it because the illustration is great, and the writing at the end of the day, the pedigree is there. It may not have been the best work as of recently, but it's still a solid book and another outside Batman adventure where you do get more, like I said, Duke, Black Lightning, other characters in this adventure that's not just Batman centric. So it's a different flavor of Batman. And one
I like the character set. You got You got Orphan, you got the Signal, who definitely needs to be developed. Like he's an underdeveloped character after his introduction. And Katana, man,
Katana's a classic.
great characters.
Yeah, no, you're right, and that's again another reason why it's recommended in the sense that it's a different flavor of Batman. Again, you have each issue has a different kind of take on the same legendary character, and that's more of a flavor of different characters and how they communicate with Batman and the adventures they go on. And they're actually now saving the one person they've been talking about saving for a while. Can't really get into too much, but her name's Sophia, and they're finally doing their mission, so that's great.
Okay, so the fourth one, it's not an ongoing, but it's a mini series from DC Black Label. It's the Murphyverse, Batman Curse of the White Knight.
The Murphyverse, Sean Murphy, oh my goodness, that has been so good. I was a fan of that from. I mean, you have the Curse of the White Knight, but from the first entry into this universe, Sean Murphy has shown that okay, he can take Batman, he can give all these homages to its history, classic designs, and the Batmobile and everything. But this is definitely his universe. He's taking complete control with us, killing wide members of Batman's Rogues Gallery, or tying into the history of Batman and his family into Gotham, or redesigning Azrael. We were just talking about this a little recently in an earlier video on Batman and bringing Nightfall and Azrael into it. And his reinterpretation of these storylines and these characters and the way that he does it so well. And I mean, he also illustrates the thing. So he's doing double duty on writing and art. It has been really, really good. I'm honestly just, I can't wait for it to go into another trade so I can get all of these trades of Sean Murphy's Batman work because it's been so good. And I'm excited for more of this. You had the one shot with Mr. Freeze. You have this with the Curse of the White Knight where you're introducing Azrael, you're tying Batman's family into maybe the Third Reich, and how does that go historically? And he's really just taking total control of this story, total control of this universe, making it his own, and in a weird way, it really works. And I just can't heap enough praise on it. He's clearly had, I think, one of the better comics of the past year, and I mean, he's starting strong. He's really a great talent on Batman.
You know, I just recorded, it's going to be 2 videos with my good friend Josh, and we break down the Murphyverse. You're going to start seeing them on Thursday and Fridays when they both come out, and I think you're going to like it because we go really in depth on the White Knight, the Murphyverse, and it's about 40 minutes of content.
Well, I can't wait. I'm excited. You said it.
It was a good one. All right, so another miniseries from the creator, I believe, of Ra's al Ghul, Neal Adams, Batman versus Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, that's you said it. It's by a legend in the field, and Neal Adams, who really largely redefined Batman in the 70s and kind of turned him and Denny O'Neil into that darker side that we ended up getting that remade Batman. And you're right, he did make Ra's al Ghul, and I think the Batman versus Ra's al Ghul, it's written, drawn, inked, and colored by Neal. So you definitely getting a work from the original creator, and that's great. And it's just what it is. It's Batman versus Ration. It's a sprawling plot that's pretty interesting. I mean, the threads are progressing slowly. I think we're on issue 4 now. Batman's in an interdimensional prison. He has to escape before all's lost. That's kind of where we're at right now. I will say, it's weird because Neal Adams' writing on it it's I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or not, but there's an historical kind of way that he's talking. And there's an example where he basically says, like he'll say damn Skippy a lot, which is kind of funny. Or he'll do like a line where he's like this drawn out, a thirsty surgeon or in need of a drought. Or these lines where basically don't really sound like Batman. Like it's a lot of exposition. That is, I don't want to say old timey because I think that would dated is probably a better word. But also maybe that's where his writing for this story is. So I can't knock it too much. What I can say though is that as much as I love the artwork, Neal Adams is a legend on Batman. As much as I love some of the kind of writing on it, I think that Batman goes between being kind of lack of a better word, a jerk, kind of like a snide, kind of wisecracking jerk that's not really in his character, and Batman. And I'm not sure if that's because Neal Adams is trying to reinvent Batman in this story or not. But Neal Adams has had some wild Batman stories. He's done some great work, but he's also had some that are pretty out there as well. So I can't knock it too much. But the artwork here, it's pretty funny. It's an interesting, fun book. I wouldn't read into it too much. It's a rich history that he uses. He did make it, but I don't know what has come of this Batman. I just think that you're reading it for what it is, which is a legend in the field of Batman, going back, writing a fun story. And that's kind of all that is to be said for that. Don't really go into it with high, deep expectations. It's a fun romp of a book written, like I said, by a legend who is definitely having some fun with it. And I think that should kind of tell all I need to say about that book.
Okay, so the last one we're going to talk about is Batman Universe from Brian Michael Bendis.
Okay, short and sweet. I've been a little bit against Bendis recently. Batman Universe being no exception. I'm sure we've talked about this on the channel before. It's Batman by Bendis. All the joys that come with that. I'd fallen out of that book. Again, it's one of those I'm just getting myself back on. Excited to kind of get back and, well, excited would be a strong word. I'm going to get back and see what I've missed. But the reason I fell out of it was kind of the same reason why I've just not been a big fan of Bendis in general. I think he gets the character more than, say, King does in terms of who Batman is. However, I also think that the dialogue is a little excessive and not necessary, and the story can kind of be a little Miranda. Forgetting the word I'm trying to say, but basically it just kind of winds around. I guess
meandering.
There we go. That's the word exactly. So and that's kind of where I feel it is. Again, your mileage on Brenda's may vary. Mine is very short. Batman being no exception. I definitely, if you're into trying to see how he is on Batman, if you want to see what he's done on Superman, you want to see what he do to another character in the DC universe, try Batman Universe and tell me what you think. That's kind of where I'm at. I'll probably have more of an influence when I kind of pick up most of those books. I'm actually playing it next week to kind of see what I've missed. Hasn't been a whole lot come out on that one, but yeah, that's kind of one of the lower recommended in my opinion.
All right, so there's three of them we're not really going to talk about. There's The Batman's Gray by Warren Ellis. I read a little bit into it, but it seems like Alfred is an alcoholic in that one. Wasn't really my flavor. You're not reading it. So there's also a Kurt Busiek Batman story. I don't read Kurt Busiek. I try to separate the art from the artist, but that guy has been too much of a jerk online, so I don't read his stuff. And then finally, there's Batman Superman by Josh Williamson, which I hear a lot of good stuff about, but I'm personally avoiding You're the Villain, so it didn't really hold much interest in me. I read the first one, but it basically DC spoiled the whole comic book, and I didn't come back. And you're not reading those, so we're not going to get into it. But there are three other ones out there. If you have something nice to say about it, throw it in the comments and convince us that maybe we should come back to those. So the last thing I want to talk to you about, my good friend, is you are starting a YouTube channel of your own. You're a veteran of the podcast game, and you're going to start dipping your toe. You're going to be a regular YouTuber. I really enjoy all the collaborations. I hope these continue as you kind of go out on your own, and we can work together in the future. There will be a link to your YouTube channel in the video description. There will likely be a link in the video right now and also at the end in the end screens. So if you want to go find this channel, it will be there. Not a lot of content yet, but it's going to start flowing. Please give the viewers your 3-minute why they should come to your channel, what they can expect from the comic book Barbarian.
I appreciate that, Wes. Thank you. Yeah, it's the Comic Book Barbarian, name of the channel. It's really that same passion that you get when you kind of tune into the conversations here of Wes and others, that passion for the comics, and not only just the stories and the storylines, but I'm interested in the creative teams, the process behind it, a little bit of the industry behind it, what brought these stories to life, the inspiration behind such classic tales as Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, as Watchmen. I'm very excited to talk about the 90s in the comic industry and the rise of the armored superheroes and the dark, gritty storylines and what in the comic industry inspired these types of stories to come out and the fallout that resulted from that. Historically, for me, I'm really big on that. What makes these comics great and why we as readers keep coming back to that. And especially now with stories and lines that, we may not be the biggest fans of, that remind us of better stories back then. And I think for me, that exploration in the comics and sharing that love of comics with you as viewers and having conversations, the same thing that Think Critical and others do. I love that. And I want that passion to extend on my channel. And I really think that it will. Just having that interaction and that love of comics and that sharing of that medium. Because we're all here at the end of the day for the stories, for the connections, for people who read that and that sharing that comes with that. And I'm just fully embracing that and trying to bring that in through my own interpretation with some of the history and the homage to the greats in the past and tying that all together with some application, to where we are now and reading comics in 2020 with that new vision we have. So that's kind of a brief synopsis of what I'll be doing. First video is just kind of explaining that. And I'm excited to get into more. And like I said, I'm going to feed heavily off of comments and having these interactions on social media in general, because I feel the viewers just as important, just like Wes does as we do here, just creating that content and having those who love comics and have that collaboration. That's really what it is. And that's what I'm all about and excited to really get into it.
So it sounds like if you're a viewer and you're looking for a perspective, a retrospective on maybe some of those classic stories, not reviews of them, but the story behind the story, how they came together, what the creative teams did, and what made them special, in the long run, and maybe timeless, is one of the pieces that you're gonna be putting on there, as well as some content about new comics as well.
Yes, exactly. And I'm excited to do that as well, Wes. You're right. Just comic. I mean, we love them. It's the universe. It's the foray into that, and again, having these interactions are the lifeblood of what get me up and reading comics, and just can't wait to share with the rest of the guys in the forum and the chat and everything. So yeah, only a segment. I'm really excited to grow it out and flesh it out and really build this and see what can come of it. But I'm just excited. It kind of springs from this. I love collaborations with you, Wes, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing more. Like, I am excited.
So, speaking of collaboration, this is going to be real quick, but we did just announce that Skip and we're going to start our podcast network. I know that I believe once we get it up and running, we get everything smoothed out. You're going to be one of the contributors, and you're going to start putting up some content on there as well. So if you come over when we finally get the podcast launched, you will get some of that comic book Barbarian flavor that you all want.
Yes, sir. Yep. Can't wait to add it.
All right, Corbin, thanks so much for talking about some of the alternatives to the Batman series and how they've been going lately. I really appreciate it, buddy. And best of luck with your channel.
I appreciate it, Wes. Thank you.
All right, later. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.